morning, everyone. Welcome to Symposium. Welcome to Orlando. It's great to see you all here. I want to thank you for being here, our customers, our partners, developers, colleagues, and of course our sponsors. Appreciate you joining us this week. It's going to be a great week. All of you have traveled to Orlando and are here to learn and to network, to have a great experience. And speaking of experience, here's a number for you. 2,710. Guess what that represents? 2,710 is actually the number of times the phrase customer experience was mentioned by executives on earnings calls just this last quarter. And really, that's not a big surprise to all of you and all of us, because having a good experience, providing a good experience, leads to higher customer engagement, higher customer loyalty. In fact, the recent survey conducted by Walker and Chief Executive Magazine found that CEOs see customer experience as the best way to create competitive advantage, beating out product 2-to-1, beating out price 8-to-1. And I can tell you, from a CEO's perspective, I'm always thinking about how to gain a competitive advantage. And I know every other CEO out there is thinking the same thing. I spend a lot of time in all my meetings with customers all over the world, and the topic of creating experience to drive business advantage always comes up. All the CEOs I spend time with are trying to build those memorable experiences, to connect with their customers in the most meaningful way they can. And they want to do that so they can gain an advantage, gain an edge in their markets, and experience is that edge.
Hey guys, it's CMS-Connected here at Sitecore Symposium in Orlando. I'm now sitting with Desta Price, the EVP of Product Management. How are you doing today?
Great, how are you?
I'm wonderful, thank you for asking. So Testa, you're somewhat newer to Sitecore. Could you tell us about your experience so far and a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, basically I've spent many years working around, I'll say CRM, really focused on delivering products to customers in a SaaS model, as well as deep diving into machine learning and AI and how to leverage those technologies to really enable users of software to leverage the power of the data that we're collecting these days.
Right now, I'm lucky to be speaking with Paige O'Neill. She is the CMO of Sitecore. How are you doing today, Paige?
I'm fantastic. Thank you for having me.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for talking to us. So, it's Wednesday here at the event. It's been a great event so far. We're so excited to be here. It has come to my attention that you have been with Sitecore now just over 1 year. Could you tell us a bit about your time at Sitecore and just really what your experience has been with this company?
Yeah, and I've been with Sitecore for about 1.5 years now, and it's been a really exciting experience from a growth perspective. It's always fun to come into a company that's growing quickly. I think our technology is exciting. For me, from kind of my perspective, I enjoy working with technology where you're selling into the marketing department. We also sell into IT, but I think as a marketer, when you're talking to marketers, it gives you a credibility when you come to the table. And part of our journey in my department has been, we've just come through a massive project where we re-implemented on the latest version of Sitecore. And this is what all of our customers are doing, right? They're going through digital transformation. They're working with web technology, digital technology to try to create these customer experiences. And so having been on that journey myself over the last 10, 11 months, it gives me a real conversation point to have with them that is exciting.
Yeah, absolutely, because you've had the same experience that they're going through right now. So who better to lead them through this journey?
Exactly.
So the big theme of the event, is human connection in a digital world.
Yeah.
Has there been one maybe standout story that you've heard over the course of this event that really embodies that idea?
Well, and I think there have been so many. I'll maybe give a couple of examples. We chose that theme it's Sitecore's purpose that we adopted about 6-7 months ago as we went through a messaging and just kind of a branding exercise. And we came out of that thinking that, we're digital technology leaders, but at the end of the day, we're all people trying to make connections, and that's why we're building customer experiences. And it's been amazing to me how that theme has resonated at this conference and how all of the speakers have taken it up, the customer stories that are coming to life, the moments that are happening on the show floor. I mean, just now on the main stage, we have Jake Johansson, who is a comedian. It's his 4th time emceeing our symposium. And he decided he wanted to get behind this whole experience thing too and make an experience. And so he went out and found a guy who has been in the Sitecore MVP community. So he's one of our top developers. He's been in that community for a long time. And Jake happened to know that he was an amazing singer. So he asked him if he would come on stage and do a surprise song as a tribute to women in technology. And so we sprung this on the attendees, and I think people were floored. And so I think it's a great example because it's an organic happening of, wow, I think these experiences are powerful. And I think that when we create them organically and kind of have these moments in time, it can be very powerful.
Absolutely, and also memorable.
Meaningful experiences are both personalized and personal. Personalized in ways that shows you know who I am, and personal in a way that shows you know what I care about. And why is that important? Because when brands deliver meaningful experiences that are personalized and personal, we have an experience that matters to us, that's based on our preferences. We feel seen and we feel heard. And when brands make us feel that way, we form that powerful emotional connection with them. It's similar to how I feel about Lee & Sons. And this is what we mean by human connections in a digital world. Because even in a digital world, humans still have that need to connect.
The theme of this week is human connection in a digital world. Has there been anything that you've seen so far this week that really stands out as an incredible story related to that?
I think, I can take a lot of stories, I think, from talking with partners and customers. And really, it's tying all these together to say, how do we really take that emotional human touch and enable it through the technology that we have. One of my favorites today, I got to work with our Better for Balance, which is really our diversity, and how do we take inclusion as part of everything, and how do we use that as a driver to ensure that we're feeding all of the different audiences out there and enabling brands to do the same thing.
So about a year ago, we started evolving our technology into a true SaaS offering. It's complicated, it was involved, and in fact, no other major digital experience vendor has done it yet. But we've made great progress, and we'll be releasing the first version of Sitecore as a Service next year. This is going to change the way companies build digital experiences in a way that'll be of tremendous benefit to you, our customers and partners. Our new SaaS offering will include the simplicity of a modern, elegant interface, the agility that we associate with SaaS. It'll be much easier and faster for your teams to build digital experiences, while at the same time providing the flexibility for partners and customers to create differentiated experiences. AI as a service. Across the platform, built in, you'll be able to predict behavior, act on data, and serve up the right content in real time automatically. And we'll continue to make advances in automating content services and personalization to make things easier and easier over time. Ease of automated upgrades. Once you're on our SaaS platform, you'll always have the most current version of the product. Full integration with Sitecore Content Hub, which is already in the cloud, and it's already SaaS. We expect to have the first version of our new SaaS offering available in the summer of 2020, and we'll keep you posted on our progress. But just to set your expectations, the initial release will be supporting limited use cases, and it'll evolve over time. And let me be very, very clear about this. We'll continue to invest and innovate on our current platform for years to come. And with the SaaS platform, partners and customers will still have the ability to customize and extend the platform to meet customer needs.
So the beginning of this conference, kind of kicked off with this SaaS announcement. Everyone's talking about it. It's really exciting. Could you, tell us a little bit more about that?
Sure. Super excited this week to really announce the fact that we are on a journey towards SaaS. And as Sitecore, from the years of experience that we have, we're realistic about the fact that it is going to be a journey for us that we're going to introduce into the market next summer, and then work with the market, customers, and partners to really evolve that over time to meet their needs in the future.
So what will this SaaS vision mean for all of your partners?
So it'll mean that we'll have a very similar ecosystem to today, where partners can really leverage the technology and the extensibility of the platform. We want to ensure that as we go to the SaaS platform, that we're still providing brands the ability to extend the platform to meet their specific needs. And we need our partners to help us on that journey, because we can't do that alone. And so making sure that we're providing that system for our partners to leverage and help those brands get there is really important.
I think, first of all, we are growing both organically and by acquisition. And we're doing so organically because there's a huge demand in this space, and by acquisition because we believe that in order to maintain the leadership position that we have in digital experience, we've got to keep rounding out our portfolio. And I think there's an interesting thing happening right now when you think about the traditional web content management market versus the digital experience market, where you have on the one hand a market that's pretty mature. And so if you look at, for example, the Gartner Magic Quadrant for web content management, which we've been in a leadership position in for 10 years, it's pretty crowded at the top, right? I mean, there's not, because it's a mature market, versus the digital experience market is still very much forming and emerging. And so Sitecore wants to be a leader in the markets of today and the markets of the future. And so from our perspective, it's about digital experience and building out that platform. And we also see that as digital experience matures, for us, we see things like personalization and content, two areas that Mark Frosts talked about yesterday in his keynote. From a personalization perspective, we need to make it easier for medium-sized companies, large companies, companies of all sizes to be able to take advantage of the benefits of personalization. So we want to invest in innovations that will enable them to do that and be able to scale that across companies of all sizes. And from a content perspective, we're seeing content really shift to be at the center of the marketing equation, because you can't build out digital experience without robust approach to content, understanding, first of all, being able to create it and manage it, which our Style Labs acquisition enabled us to be able to do and be at the center of that. And as the technology evolves, to be able to understand how it's performing and eventually get to the point where we can serve content in and out in an automated fashion, we can report back on what's working. And again, these are things that as the technology advances, this isn't going to be just for the enterprise, it's going to be for companies of all sizes. I think we want to kind of democratize that approach to technology so that it doesn't have to be a multi-year, multi-million-dollar investment for companies to get to that point. And the way we have to do that is through SaaS, because I think we've got to get to a point where we're able to have the modern cloud-based architecture to be able to deliver the innovation, make it dramatically easier to get up and running and migrate more quickly, and have access to the features as they evolve without having to take a step back and think about, we've got to migrate to the next version, that's going to take 18 months. And honestly, I think that as we mature our platform and modernize it and move it to SaaS, we're going to enable not just the enterprise, but really probably first the mid-market to be able to take advantage of those features more quickly. It's going to take it some time to evolve to the point where the enterprise is going to be able to take advantage of it, because it is going to be a multi-year journey. And so I think that from Sitecore's perspective, we need to be able to have technology where we're controlling the releases and the innovations of the core features, and then we're protecting that platform with a layer that enables partners to go in and build on top of it, but then we're able to maintain the core so that the migrations and the upgrades can happen much more quickly. I think it's going to be an easier world for everyone.
So are there any other new kind of product announcements that you can maybe tell us about? I've been hearing stuff maybe about AI and...
So we did also announce Sitecore AI, and this is another that will have a series of things that we release over time, really trying to take all of that data that we can collect from user experiences. As a consumer, I really want it to be about me, and in order for them to know that it's me, we need to leverage that data in order to drive things like personalization. And so we've announced auto personalization being the first step in our journey on Sitecore AI, which allows companies through really a click of a button to say, hey, go out and test and figure out what those segments are so we can personalize for the segments based on that experience. And what it's really uncovered for us is that with content driving that entire life cycle, that the content strategy around it is super important. And with that, we look to lean into the future for how can we add AI and ML capabilities within content to drive things like content similarity, to enable marketers to understand how they leverage the content they have to use it in new channels in the future. For Sitecore AI, the collection of that user experience and the data is a key component to what we want to do. But we realize that there are other systems of record within corporations that really enable them to understand more about their users that are coming in. And so being able to augment our data with that in order to provide a holistic experience is really our vision. And as that applies to GDPR and data privacy across the US and EMEA, and we are a global company, so all of those different, we're very conscious of the data that we're collecting and making sure that we're providing the tools for customers to make decisions based on who they're selling to and where they're actually located and how they manage that data.
Mm-hmm. Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today.
Thank you very much.
So one thing I've noticed at this event, there is so many women here. There's more women than any vendor event that I've attended so far. Could you speak a little bit about women in tech? I know that you're definitely an advocate for that.
Yes, and it's great to hear you say that. It's, because it's something that we certainly think about and strive for. I really am working on having as close to 50% women speakers at the conference as I can. And I think that over the years, we've made a concerted effort to embrace the women in tech community internally and externally. We've got a group of women called Women of Sitecore who are very active. They're our customers and our developers as well as our employees. And I mean, for me, it's just very important to have a purposeful perspective and goal with regard to what messages of inclusion are we trying to get across when we put it on an event like this. We want to be representative of what's happening in the real world. And the fact of the matter is that when you think about consumer buying and purchasing and customer experiences, a lot of the people that these experiences are being created for are women. So it only makes sense that we should be representing them at the events the same way they're represented in the real world.
Absolutely. It's great to see everyone really represented here.
Yeah.
Well, Paige, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with us today. Your insights were great.
Absolutely. Thanks so much again for having me.
Of course.
Even though we're operating in a digital world, we're all human. Humans are emotional. We thrive on relationships. Our goal is to give you the ability to create an emotional connection between your brand and your customers so that you can form a lifelong relationship with them. And that gives you a competitive advantage. Thanks again for being here.